So study abroad sucks. Never do it. I've been in Marseille, France for the past 2 semesters, going to business school, and it's just been a terrible time. I've met truly unremarkable people, and I haven't seen or done anything, even on the outer fringes of noteworthy or, exciting. Hi, my name is Austin, and here we are yet again with another sellout clickbaity list video, but this time we're going to be breaking down the real problems with study abroad. So problems here are highly subjective, of course, and are going to be largely dependent on the nature of the school you will be attending, but more importantly, what you personally are hoping to gain from your study abroad experience. So let's frame this list from the perspective of someone who is hoping for a high degree of passive integration into the host community and culture. So basically, I was going to France, so I was expecting to speak a lot of French and hang out with a lot of French people. But in reality, what I got was, it was great. I had a great time, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So taking the number 1 spot on this list, the biggest offender, the incredible international student community. Now this one is such a double-edged sword because you'll have the opportunity to meet just incredible people from literally all over the world. Unfortunately, however, you'll fall into the trap of just hanging out with internationals and you'll dip out on meeting locals. This is bound to happen. On my exchange, at least, there were some odd 300 internationals one semester. We were all placed in the same Facebook group, we all attended orientation together, most of us lived in the same student residences. You have so many people around you who are in the same situation of being the new kid, all meeting at the same time, all open to making new friends, all down to hang out and travel. It's the ideal environment for making connections fast. And so if you have established friends from this international community, the uphill battle of breaking into the native student population is less of a necessity for you. So, why would you put the time and effort into doing so? Which leads me to my next point, engaging the local student body. So obviously the best way to immerse yourself in the culture is to make friends with the locals. So naturally it would make sense for you to buddy up with some native students. However, it's probably not that simple. And honestly, this is just an issue of social economics that does not work in your favor. The local students at your school, they're perfectly nice and friendly, but your time with them is finite. You are leaving soon, and they know that. They have established friend groups, activities, and clubs, all things that you would be competing with. So it's understandable that they won't be going above and beyond when it comes to bringing you into their circles. Think of your squad at home. Are you all in the market of actively looking to invest in what is basically a 3-month friend intern? Probably not. So special note on this topic, if you're going to say France, you can expect that a considerable percentage of the student body population will not speak English very well. So that is something else that will be working against you. I can't speak for other places, but the language barrier will most definitely be a factor. So speaking of language, there seems to be a lack of passive organic daily practice. You'd be so surprised by how absolute little you need to know of the local language to accomplish daily tasks. Believe it or not, purchasing your midday baguette only requires that you know how to say bonjour. Everything after that can be communicated with a series of nods, confused eyebrows, and several nervous bouts of oui and merci. And that applies to most all transactions. Of course, you could push yourself to indulge in more sophisticated bakery banter, but even that has a low ceiling for content. In general, I found that the use cases that require you express yourself even somewhat competently are so sparse in day-to-day life that, you're not getting even 5% of the experience you would get hanging out with natives or locals just engaged in casual conversation. It's not gonna happen. So now to my 4th point, taking classes in English, which is obviously going to be working against you if you're trying to pick up the local language. So don't get me wrong, unless you can speak the local language somewhat well, it probably isn't in your best interest to take a class in any language other than English. But because your classes are in English, it means all the work you do in and out of those classes will also be in English, and that's just a lot of your time where you're not practicing the local language. Secondly, since English is the common denominator amongst international students, it's likely you will have mostly international students in your classes, which just reinforces the problem that I talked about earlier, where you're only hanging out with other exchange students. So now on to my final point, which is traveling every weekend and not really getting to see the city that you live in. There are some exchange students I know who never spent a full weekend in Marseille. They were traveling all over the place all the time, which is totally what you should do if that's not an opportunity that you normally have. However, it just pulls you away from truly integrating into the city in which you live because, well, you're never there. If you live in a small, boring city, this definitely isn't the end of the world, but if you live in a city that has a lot to offer, you can probably miss out on a lot of, worthwhile experiences. In conclusion, some exchange students just want to party, travel, and make friends with the people most present and available to them. And there is nothing wrong with that. However, if you're going to a foreign country on a study abroad in hopes that, you'll engage with the local community, the local culture, and the people, this has been a list of problems that you might run into. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you disagree with anything that I've said or you have more to add, please leave a comment down below. Furthermore, if you are going on an exchange anytime soon, leave us a comment saying where you're going and what you're most excited or nervous about. Study abroad is a great opportunity and I recommend it to anyone. Thank you again for watching. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button, like of course you know how to do. Go ahead and give this video a like as well. Share it if you want to share it. I have been Austin. You can find me on Instagram at almostaustin, and go now and see if your school has a study abroad trip that you can go on and sign up for it because it's great. Take care.